anymore, and I don't have a chat. So there we go.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
All right, let me. Yeah, so you were on Prime's Reverie the other day, and there was a topic about religion, and you said some things that I definitely agree with. You said some things that I think were just a little bit misinformed, kind of getting at the right thing, because I too, like, I consider myself to be an anti-Zionist, like, just by definition. Yeah, obviously what's happening to the Palestinian people at the hands of the Israeli government is fucking awful. I do not think that it would be very hyperbolic, maybe a little bit hyperbolic to liken it to like apartheid. That being said, the idea that this has some kind of like a religious motivation, especially from the perspective of like Judaism, is more of what I feel like you're missing a little bit of nuance on. So what I kind of wanted to approach this as is like less of a back and forth debate between us, but more of like, when Destiny sits down with book smarts to kind of look at like a post debate thing and analyze rhetoric there. Maybe we just look at it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I hope I built enough of a reputation that I'm not trying to be like fucking no. These are the 7 points that I believe are true, and if you disagree with me, you're a bad person and a piece of shit. Like, no, that's definitely not how I want to approach the subject at all. As a matter of fact, I think it's really interesting because I made a popular or okay, so I'll go through a little bit of my background. My parents grew up in Massachusetts. They grew up in a town. So like my grandfather was born in Southie Boston, but my parents grew up in a town called Newton, and basically they grew up on Newton's like a really nice city. They have like good education, like all that kind of stuff. But they were kind of known as like the maybe not the rich kids, right? They were like the kids, the people who moved into the zip code who couldn't afford to be there. That was kind of their reputation. So there was maybe a little bit of classism, maybe a little bit of white Anglo-Saxon Protestant elitism going on. And as a result, my parents were known as like the kids from the wrong side of the tracks, right? So they had a lot of friends, and some of those friends were Jewish, and they basically grew up with Jewish people, loved them, all that kind of stuff. So that was kind of like one of my family ties, was just family friends who have been Jewish almost my entire life. Then the other thing was in college. I actually took a couple of classes. They're probably pro-Zionist, Mossad propaganda, but I took what was it called? It was called Israel, the Startup Nation, and it was basically like an international business class, specifically about the entrepreneurial spirit of Israel in general, and kind of how it went from like a socialist economy to a more free market economy, some of the technological shifts that happened in the centuries since the country's inception, and also kind of like the entrepreneurial and technological spirit that kind of dominates the modern nation of Israel. I also lived in Europe for a little bit, so I have a mild experience of like European anti-Semitism, and then that's pretty much my background as far as dealing with Jewish issues.
Right on. So my background is just being fucking Jewish.
That's a little easier. It's a little easier.
Yeah, a little bit. So yeah, and I talk to people that are way smarter than me and like have academic backgrounds in this, and like we discuss things, and sometimes I even retain some of it. So yeah, I've got opinions, and we can talk about them. So from your understanding, like with how you see it, what do you see? Because the first thing that I wanted to touch on here was like, what do you see as the relation between Zionism and Judaism?
Yeah, so I think that if you read the Old Testament, the Promised Land is, in some ways it's supposed to be like spiritual, right? But it's also literal. I think it's Abraham who's first promised that his descendants are going to outnumber the stars. I think he's also promised a territory between the Nile and the Euphrates, and that's kind of like his covenant with God, is that as long as he keeps God's word, then he's going to inherit this land. If you look at it historically, like medieval history or pre-medieval history, Roman history, all that kind of stuff, basically what you have is you have Jewish people organized, and they're either independent in a state of Israel or they're conquered in a state of Israel. So whether that's like the Greeks, the Romans, the Persians, the Babylonians, and then eventually the Christians, basically what happens is they take the area of Israel, and then they just get slaughtered or killed or purged or pushed out or whatever. And then eventually, I think you could probably maybe expand on this for me, but I think the sack of Jerusalem, I want to say, was in like 1099 or something like that. Probably have to Google it, but basically after the Crusader sack of Jerusalem, which I think literally like the Crusaders just killed like 90% of the people inside the city. That what I believe happened, or at least if I remember my history correct, is the Jewish diaspora, where they're like, hey, we've been getting fucked over in this territory. We're not necessarily as politically powerful as we want to be, so we're just going to kind of go out into the world and see how we survive. And that's where you have the Jewish population of Europe kind of form, and kind of integrate themselves. There's Christian, so long before there was like racial anti-Semitism, there was Christian anti-Semitism. And Christian anti-Semitism is rooted in the fact that like Christians replaced Jews as God's chosen people. They no longer, because they reject Christ, they no longer have any claim to the territory. Therefore, really like it's Christians who have replaced Jews, and Jews are just like they're religiously obsolete. And then modern anti-Semitism can be religious. It can also be ethnic or racial, where there's like all these theories about like the nefarious nature of Jewish folk, and how they're at the forefront of like secular social revolutions. And if you're a Christian nationalist or a Nazi, then you kind of use them as the scapegoat to either say like, hey, they're trying to destroy the white race, or hey, they're trying to destroy Christianity. And that's kind of like the root of like modern anti-Semitism.
Okay, so you understand what the conspiracy is. Hold on one second.
No problem. Chat, hi. I'm trying to articulate these ideas with hopefully somebody who has a different perspective.
All right, I'm very sorry about that. Just had to tell the roommates that I'm live right now.
No,
Anyway,
no problem. I understand the business, but
yeah, you get it.
but yeah, just really quickly, like I guess I can wrap there and kind of say how I see modern Zionism as like an extension of the religion. What I would say is that, like, obviously with the European purge of Jews in Europe, with Nazi Germany, a lot of Jews no longer felt comfortable with their European neighbors, considering they either tried to kill Jews actively or sold them out to German and Nazi, people who were trying to exterminate Jews. So after not feeling comfortable, they were like, "Fuck it, let's go home." And I know Zionism started in like the 19th century as well. And I know there's secular Zionism. I know there's religious Zionism. I know it's all a mishmash of belief. Two Jews walk into a room, there's going to be three opinions. But that's like, that I don't know. That like, I'm sure there's plenty there to take apart.
Yeah, so I would just point out the sack of Jerusalem that you're referring to with the Crusades. There were no Jewish people living in Jerusalem then. The state of Israel, like with Jewish people in it, that was dissolved 35 BC.
Okay.
So that was just Muslims and Arabs at that point. That being said, I don't necessarily consider that to be important to your point. One thing that I would say is that like when we're looking at like the history of Zionism and Zionism as a political movement, because if I just poll like every Jewish person in the world right now, they're going to come out with overwhelming approval for Zionism. Zionism does not always mean support for the state of Israel as we understand it.
Okay.
I can try to articulate more on that later, but that's also
No,
an important
I
thing.
wouldn't mind if you tried to articulate it now. Can you parse that apart about like why? Yeah. So Zionism is, I mean, if you think about it in like pop culture, it's kind of like I don't know, like a holy land, I guess, or like a destination or something like that. So would you mind pulling that apart for me now?
Yeah, so the most like, and this is a little bit reductive. I'm just doing that for simplistic purposes, right?
Mm-hmm.
To a lot of Jews, what Zionism simply means is just our right to have a community, like that's insular, and maybe separate from like where we're living. It means different things to different people. Like you said earlier, we do have a joke that if you ask 9 rabbis, you're going to get 10 different opinions. Yeah. So yes, I mean, yeah, and here I just found the definition here. Basically, yeah, it's just that Jews deserve self-determination, while they're unsafe elsewhere. So that can also just mean our
So
insular
you would
communities
view,
are
or
awkward.
some Jews would view, like an insular Jewish community, like let's say in like New York or like Miami. I'm being stereotypical, but like in New York or Miami, if if they were still able to keep the faith, maintain their traditions, maintain their people or whatever, that would still be a fulfillment of Zionism, even if they geographically weren't in Israel.
It would actually be a more accurate fulfillment of the concept of Zionism as they're describing it, due
Mm,
basically to the fact that, and it's not like insular communities like in New York or in Miami, right?
mhm.
It's not like literally building like the ultra orthodox Jews like walking around with their hats and like it's a whole neighborhood of them. That's not what we're talking about.
Mhm.
But sorry, could you repeat your question again? Got
No, no,
sidetracked there.
I'm actually okay with that because I think that's a good tangent. So for instance, like I also know that one of the fears when it comes to like far right or distant right people, let's just call them fascists, like European fascists, whether it's they're in America or the United States, is this concept of kind of like maintaining culture and hereditary and like genetics and all that kind of stuff. But what was actually interesting about talking to some Jewish people that I knew was actually like it seemed like there was a similar cultural preservationist conflict in the Jewish community, where there were people like who were arguing about whether or not we should, do we preserve the religion? How orthodox are we? How traditionalists are we? I think like John Stewart has described himself as like a bagel Jew, like he holds on to like a few cultural traditions, but he doesn't like, he's not like hardcore religious or anything like that. And there's as almost what I noticed was there was almost as much of a concern in the Jewish community about maintaining Jewish identity as there was in like I don't know, maybe like the hard right European community about like maintaining European identity. So that was kind of like a weird parallel. So like, did you experience that as a young person? Have you experienced like a conflict inside yourself? How has your family dealt with it? Like all that kind of stuff.
Um, so I've had a really weird upbringing around religion due to the fact that I grew up in like a mixed religious household. Um,
Mixed
yeah,
what?
fucking Christian weird like non-denominational shit and Jewish on the mother's side. So
So hold on. So your dad was a non-denominational Christian and your mother was a Jew?
pretty much, yeah.
Did they fight
And
about it at the dinner table or?
well, also German, so family reunions got a little bit awkward sometimes. All about who gassed whose uncle. Very cringe.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, basically, Zionism is just like Jewish's people right to like have their own society and like follow their own laws and practice their own like religious rituals and like honor their
Mhm,
own holidays. Is the way that I would describe most Jews is like viewing it. Especially more Reformed Jews. That being said, lots of different opinions there. Zionism that we're focused on here, the Zionism that I actually want to talk about, is the political kind that exists,
mhm,
like, regarding the state of Israel. What's interesting there is it actually started off as a secular movement,
mhm,
mostly by like left wing progressive type people, yeah, that were
mhm,
like, wow, all these Jewish people just keep on getting like thrown all over Europe, being oppressed everywhere that they fucking land. We should find a place for them.
mhm,
Despite the fact that I'm an anti-Zionist today, 100 years ago, I'd have probably been a fucking Zionist. Didn't
mhm.
seem very realistic to like just be like, hey, maybe we should just stop oppressing Jewish people. That wasn't a thing that people thought that they could just tell their governments to do.
Mhm,
And then, if you look at what's happened with it today and the way that it's been perverted, if you fast forward to somewhere around like between the 50s and 70s, and I'm a little bit iffy on the dates here,
mhm,
evangelical Christianity. Well, not yeah, evangelical Christianity. What I'm talking about there is like the charismatic denominations, right? The
mhm,
Pentecostals, your Baptist, those things. They believe in a concept called premillennial dispensationalism. So what this is interpreting the book of Revelations as
mhm,
literal, right? This isn't a metaphor. This is actual prophecy. So these people became extremely hyper Zionist,
mhm,
effectively due to the fact that they would like to see the Jewish people return to Israel so
mhm.
that they can bring about their end time prophecies of Jesus coming back and then, fucking murdering a bunch of people. Um,
Well, but I mean, isn't that so? So I'll ask you this: Isn't evangelical Christians being hyper pro-Zionist better than maybe the alternative, where they're like, hey, we've replaced the Jews and we've replaced them as God's holy people, so really, fuck them, and then like pogroms and like all that kind of bullshit. Like, I don't know, like, is them being like weirdly pro-Semitic a positive alternative to them being weirdly anti-Semitic?
They're not pro-Semitic. They're just anti-Semitic, I would argue. And the reason that I would argue
Mm.
that they're anti-Semitic is because the best case scenario that I can make for their prophecy is that it's fetishizing Jewish people as converts.
Mm-hmm.
The worst case scenario that I can make, and I do make this case, is that they're jacking themselves off to the idea of Jesus coming back and cutting all our heads off for not converting.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry for laughing, but it's probably true either way. Like, it's you can't fucking win, right? Like you just can't fucking win. Like that's I don't know. Like and here's the thing too. I grew up in a mixed religious household of a different nature, which was basically that both of my parents were firebrand hippy dippy Christian pacifists in their 20s and 30s, but they were both like really smart and they got educated and became yuppies. But my dad wanted to go tradcon and become a trad cath, so we became Catholic and we started going to mass and like getting confirmation and going through all that kind of stuff. But my mom has always been a Protestant because she basically saw Catholicism as like really stuffy and kind of stuck in tradition and very hierarchical, and there's all these basically like the saints, and there's all this neo-paganism that kind of comes into like the Catholic faith. So there was always like this really big cultural conflict in my own house between Catholicism and Christianity. But all of that to say that I've been to Catholic mass. I've been to like fire and brimstone Baptist, fucking sermons. I've been to like non-denominational fucking love everybody pro LGBTQ churches. I've been to fucking all of them, right? Like Christianity comes in all shapes and sizes and flavors. But if I had to kind of like pin it down basically to make it relevant, it's like, yeah, like fucking Baptists are fucking psychos, dude. Like you can't you can't win, man. They're fundamentalists. They believe in fire and brimstone. They will basically go on like a 45-minute tirade about being anti-LGBTQ and how any Christian denomination that tries to deny that part of the Bible, they're all heathen pieces of shit who are also going to hell. Also like Catholics are like polytheist pieces of shit. So it's actually kind of interesting knowing all like the schisms and cultural conflicts of Christianity itself, because it kind of I could never navigate those waters, right? It's hard to I don't know, it's hard. Like some of these people are like fundamentally good people, but then you look at the teachings or you look at what's being taught in Bible school or like Sunday school to kids, and you're just like, fuck, like this is wild. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's Christianity is a weird one, especially due to the fact that there's just so many different offshoots. There's so many different denominations of it, and most of the people who claim to subscribe to it don't know what the fuck is in their book, frankly.
mhm.
So yeah, it's interesting.
Well,
Oh,
let
and one other
me.
thing
Yeah,
that
sorry.
I
Go ahead.
sorry, I wanted to go back to with the Zionism and the Europe
Mhm.
and how it first founded. One thing that I think is really important for us to also look at with the way that it started off as a secular movement is it was a secular movement in response to basically criticisms from like the European rabbinate at the time. Which is like the head rabbis basically. Think of it, the rabbis that are in charge of like the entire Jewish community in Europe. That's the chief rabbinate in like Europe at the time.
Mhm.
And they were basically, let me find this. Yeah, they were very self-critical and blamed themselves and all the Jews for the anti-Semitism and the like mass murder that was occurring to the Jews.
Mhm.
Basically saying, "You fuckers keep on eating bacon on, like thinking that you're getting away with that shit. Not flying. God sees that. That's why you keep on getting genocide." Like super cringe.
Holy
And he's like,
shit!
and this, yeah, and these people are like unironically making the argument. This is why I'm not going. This is why he's not sending us the Messiah to liberate us right now. By the way, right?
Wow,
This is why
God,
we're still being oppressed because
fucking
we're
mega
fucking
oof.
up. Yeah. So very masochistic.
Well,
Typical.
yeah, I want to point something out there,
Mhm.
because basically like there is this So I think it's fair to say, okay, like let's just jump back and forth interdependently, because basically, like the New Testament, like I would like to think that Christianity and Judaism are related enough that we can probably parse it off with like the birth of Jesus, and then just kind of like leave the New Testament out of the calculation, and then we can just kind of talk about the Old Testament, right? So I'm just saying, for the sake of continuity, we can talk about Jesus
Yeah,
as
yeah.
a separate subject. But what I'm talking about now is basically like there's this precedent in like I want to say in, I forget if it's called like Prophets or Judges or something like that. It's one of those books that's by like judges and kings, and it's basically like a series of like prophets, like like I want to say it's like pre the Babylonian sack or something like that. And it's just like a series of books basically like doing the exact same thing, where they're like, the reason why we keep getting fucked over and the reason why the kingdom of Israel is going to fall is because you guys like aren't following God anymore, and you're breaking all these fucking laws, and God sees that shit, and basically you're going to be punished because you're not keeping the faith. And so there's this like there's like this religious tradition that basically like prophets in times of doom will come out to warn society of them straying from God, and that's always supposed to be like imminent before the wrath of God. So obviously, like we have all sorts of prophets and doomsayers in our society, and there's always prophets and doomsayers. But that's what they think they're doing. They think they're forewarning a doomed civilization like Sodom and Gomorrah, against the evils and people turning away from God. They think that they're serving the prophetic purpose of basically yeah, like prophets, to use the term too many times.
Yeah. I would say that that's mostly correct. I can work with that. Hold on. I did want to finish a little bit here.
Yeah, you were talking about the rabbinic schism and the secular movement to Zionism.
Yeah. So basically, the whole point that I was trying to make here is that the way that the state of Israel was basically started, the way that it got its primary support in Europe was actually through secular support among like secular Jews and leftists, right? It was a humanitarian project that was basically saying, we're not going to wait on God anymore. We're fucking sick of waiting on God to free us from our oppression. We're going to free ourselves from our oppression. We are
Mhm.
going to go to this place. We're going to set up a state there. We're going to be safe. So this is why I tell people, like, even though today, given the context of what I know now, I consider myself to be anti-Zionist. 100 years ago, I'd have been like one of the biggest fucking Zionists on the planet because I'm a soy boy leftist cuck. Yeah, so this is how it works. That being said, what effectively happened, and what a lot of people that are still, there are some great humanist organizations still in Israel today. The new Israeli funds still have that original Zionist feel, fighting for the oppressed. There are others. Um, there are some there today that are actually very bitter about the fact that their chief rabbinate of Israel has kind of, well, not even them, but just the state of Israel has twisted like the religion and just the meaning of Zionism to basically justify what, I've said earlier, I probably would not call hyperbolic to label as apartheid like tactics
Well, but
against the
if
Palestinian people.
you were a literalist, so this is kind of where like I'm not trying to. So if it sounded like I was doing that in the debate, this is not what I'm trying to do. But I'll try to clarify here. So I'm not trying to say every single Jewish person inside the state of Israel is like an Orthodox Jewish person, nor even amongst the Orthodox do I think that they have like a uniform idea about like what Zionism means and what the territorial scope of the state of Israel should be, and should we actually occupy like the land promised to Abraham or some shit like that. I doubt there's even consensus on that. But what I am saying is that there's a historical and a religious tie, and there is at least a certain segment of the population that is biblically motivated or Torah motivated. So what I mean by that is basically like, if you're a literalist, if you're Orthodox, I don't see how you could see the prophecy that like Jews are going to occupy this territory and that our population is going to outnumber the stars. The only way that you could believe that literally has to come true in order for the Jewish people to fulfill prophecy. The only way that you can kind of like loosen that up is if you start considering like the Abrahamic faith at like the tree as a whole as the fulfillment of that prophecy. So at that point, like Muslims and Christians would be the sons and daughters of Abraham as well, and then they would kind of like I mean, like let's say 4 or 5 billion. There's clearly more stars in the sky and more sand on the beach than there are, people of the Abrahamic faith. And if you don't know what I'm referencing, that's actually the Abrahamic prophecy. Um, but metaphorically, it works. And then same thing with the territory. If you look at that territory now, it's occupied by either Jews or Muslims. So if we were talking about them as the sons or daughters of Abraham, technically, prophecy fulfilled. But I'm sure there's more hardcore literalists who do have sectarian views on like religious hierarchy. The same way there's hardcore literalists in like Islam or Christianity who view the other branches as heretical.
But you understand that, like in the Torah, we don't think that we're supposed to go back to Israel until after the Messiah has come back. And like
No,
we're
I
under the impression, okay,
I
so
didn't
like
know
that's
that.
what I'm trying to get at here is that like like there are a lot of very ultra orthodox Jews who like literally consider the state of Israel to be idolatry due to this fact.
Mm.
They consider it to be a sin creating the state in the first place. They're more anti-Zionist than I am. I believe in a two-state solution, baby. They want it fucking gone, right?
Well, okay, so
Now
can
that's
you
not
explain
all
that a little
Orthodox
bit?
sects.
What's
Mhm.
where does that prophecy come from?
What prophecy?
Basically that the Messiah is supposed to come back before Jews can return to the land of Israel. If you're talking to chat, I can't.
Oh shit! I just had you muted. I'm sending a DM to somebody to have them send me that book really quick. Um,
No, but
uh,
even if you don't have it specifically, like that's not a gotcha or anything. I'm just saying, like, what was it from? Like a certain rabbi? Was it from a part of the Torah? Was it
no,
from?
that's like directly from a part of the Torah, as I understand it, and as I remember.
Okay, okay. Well, I mean,
So
I can fucking research that shit. But then, so I guess that's my question then. Like, how would the state of Israel? So for instance, like Israel has existed at some level of population and geographical territory for a really long time. This is actually one of like the historical contentions that I think is really
oh, it's in
interesting.
Deuteronomy. It's in
Deuteronomy.
Deuteronomy, by the way. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Sick.
basically, Deuteronomy. It's like nobody ever reads it because it's just a bunch of fucking like laws and shit. But
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay. Well, but see, that's interesting to me because I would want to be basically looking into the context of that because so for instance, like um, you know, people don't really conceptualize the Bible this way, but it really is this way. It's like it's probably maybe like a 10 or 12,000 year history. I think, or not 10 or 12,000. Well, I mean, if you include Noah, yes, it is. But I think they basically thought like Noah was like 30,000 years ago, 40,000 years ago, like for to corroborate like the Great Flood narrative that there's some level of geographic evidence for. Then also, I want to say they were thinking that Abraham was like 7,000 to 12,000 just based off of guesstimates. And then I think they were saying that there's actually some corroborative Egyptian paleontological evidence in the year 1200 that was when the escape of the Jews from Egypt actually took place because there's some Egyptian records specifically referencing like a mass Semitic exodus from Egypt around that time. So there's like corroborative history. So that's where I would want to be. I would be curious about like when Deuteronomy was written, what was the context of it? Because for instance, like a lot of books are written during the Babylonian exile, and they don't necessarily like make sense unless you know this is the context of literally Jews who have been banished from their land and are pining for their lost state. If you don't have that like historical context for why they're writing what they're writing and saying what they're saying, then it's actually hard to like conceptualize what's actually going on in the book. And that's where I'm kind of sorry that I'm a little bit rusty. But that's where this history is like incredibly interesting. But one of the points I wanted to make is that some people say like, oh well, Israel's like a synthetic country. It was created in 1948. There's no historical precedent for Jews there, and that's just like not even close to fucking true. Like Semitic people have been a part of that region for fucking ever, and then on top of that, there's a geographical claim that was basically won in slaughter in the year in approximately 1200 before Christ. So that's like where I don't know if we really want to be staking modern national claims off of 2200-year-old conquests. But that's kind of the boat we're in.
I mean, yes, but if you're arguing for like a religious backing from Jewish people for Zionism, and you're quoting
Hmm.
like their perspective of things, right? Like even like super orthodox rabbis who support the state of Israel will still tell you that it's not a lawful Jewish state due to the fact that we look at the Torah as a book of laws, and Deuteronomy is literally just a book of laws within a book of laws, pretty much, right? So that's almost like the most important thing for how they're going to determine like what is following scripture and what isn't. And
Well,
it's like
so
right
how do
there
we
at the
explain
end for
Orthodox
that.
people? So how do we explain Orthodox people in the state of Israel, and how do we explain Orthodox settlers? Do they just ignore that part of it?
I mean, basically, yeah, they, yeah, that's effectively it. There's quite a few that are secular in nature. A lot of it is honestly just nationalism, my guy. You know what I mean?
Well,
Um,
and that's an important point right there, right? Because even there, you have like an interesting historical debate. Like, so is Judaism, is it or being Jewish, is it an ethnicity, is it a nationality, is it, you know, is it a religion, is it all of the above? And that's like the weird. I don't want to say weird, but that's kind of the unique thing about it, I guess, is like with Christianity. Christianity is universalist. It's supposed to be for like Jews and Gentiles. Islam is universalist. It's primarily like you know, for pagans and converts. Whereas, you know, Judaism itself kind of has some, you know, funky rules about who's in the club and who isn't. Like
yeah.
I've heard conversion for those outside the faith is kind of a pain in the ass.
Um, well, it depends, right? Like,
Mm.
did you get a circumcision? Did you not get a circumcision?
Hmm.
Because that can get a little bit awkward if you're trying to convert and you haven't, gotten the already. Anyway, um,
Well, okay, so
yeah.
I guess is that your primary contention that like these people aren't fulfilling the Jewish prophecy from a more nuanced understanding of the book of Deuteronomy, and there's plenty
Well,
of
I
religious
think I
folks who
think that my
think
contention is that most Jewish people outside of the state of Israel also have a more nuanced understanding of the situation and don't necessarily support it or not support it for religious reasons all the time. I think that it's
sure.
more complex. And then I also had contention just like with the way that we were talking about some of the things that we were talking about, like Christianity, like leading to homophobia in Europe, which you can say that there was an uptick, but I mean, the Germanic tribes were executing like homosexuals back in 95 AD.
Mm.
And then they didn't have like contact with Catholicism until like, 500 AD. So 400 years later, and then that just reinforces their homophobic beliefs. But I mean, and then we can look at Taoism, right? Over in the East, like far,
Mm.
far East, which is not even, because one thing that you were kind of getting at in the debate too, and I know I'm just ranting at this point about
No, no, no,
things
no.
that happen.
This is actually this is cut into a lot of what we probably had in contention.
Yeah. Um, and you were talking about like how it's just like it's been the last 3,000 years, like these people just keep on killing each other in the Middle East, which is a little bit reductive, due to the
Sure.
fact that, like I said, it's like, back at 35 BC is when the state of Israel was last dissolved. So, you know, and then in addition to that, like I don't think that religion is necessarily a good way to justify the reasons that countries like go to war and do terrible things to each other most of the time. I
Wait,
think
so
that it's
hold
usually
up.
used as a
So,
post hoc justification. And the reason that I would make that case is because if we look at the Eastern religions like Taoism,
mm-hmm.
they aren't universal religions. Like, they aren't exclusive religions. Like, I can be a Christian Taoist, for example.
Uh-huh.
I can be a Muslim Taoist, for example. But if we look at countries historically where Taoism was the dominant religion, they still had like fucking genocide sometimes. They still had racist discrimination sometimes. They still had terrible homophobia sometimes. They still went to war and did awful things sometimes.
Sure, but yeah, yeah,
And none
yeah.
of it was
So,
religiously motivated. They still found other post hoc justifications.
oh, humans are fundamentally tribal. Like that. This isn't anything that I like. There's very few things that I would disagree with here, as far as what you're saying. But like we'll find. See, let's say that we snapped our fingers and we made the entire world like atheist or agnostic. There's like a South Park episode where like all the atheists like go to war with each other because they can't decide like what the new name of like the atheist association should be. Like dude, we're gonna find reasons to fucking kill each other. Like that's not my point. Is not that religion is the. I don't have like a 15-year-old fedora fucking motivation for singling out religion as the sole cause of human conflict. That's definitely not my perspective. But what's interesting though is, for instance, I get it. Like this is a mishmash of fucking motivations. Some of them are geographic, some of them are logistical, some of them are financial, some of them are political, some of them are ethnic, like all that kind of shit. But at the same time, when you look at like the Crusades, for instance, the Crusades are clearly religiously motivated. Like denying that fact, like you could say there's undercurrents of other things, like geographic territorial loss, linguistic issues, the raiding of the Turco-Mongols, the loss of like Byzantine territory, and like all that kind of shit. You can kind of talk about all these other issues, but at the same time, mostly what was one of the key propagandistic motivators for people at that time is you're a Christian, you're trying to establish Christendom, basically the land of God and the land of Christ, and these fucking heathen backwards Muslim invaders are coming to fucking kill you and destroy your religion, and you need to go kill them first. That's like the entire fucking narrative. So I don't know why we would be like, I don't know what this motivation is to just dismiss that as a real motivation. People are religious. They are spiritual. Plenty of religious people believe very, with their whole being, the things that they say they believe in their religion. So I don't know why that wouldn't, like, we would just discount this motivating factor for violence. Like, it's just another motivating factor for violence.
I believe that it can be. So
Well,
I believe it can be a contributing
why
factor, and
why
obviously
are
the
you trying to
Crusades were
excuse
obviously
away the religious factor as a motivator for violence? What is this? Why?
because I don't feel like it usually is, and like I said, because I
Why?
still see violence in situation where there's like no religious motivation at the same rates in different societies that like have very different religious motivations and have very different ways of looking at religion.
I'm sorry,
Um,
say that again.
it's like I was saying, like, so with the religions that do what's called religious pluralism, right? The
Okay.
ones where you're allowed to have multiple religions, like they still go to war with each other. They still do
Sure.
terrible, violent things to each other.
But
Um,
why does that have anything to do with the religion? They just found a different excuse. Why is religion not the excuse sometimes?
I mean, the example that you just used with the Crusades, right? I'm sorry, I missed the first part.
Yeah, yeah. I use the Crusades as the example, as an example.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that it is fair to probably say um,
That's
that the
religiously
Crusades were
motivated.
religiously motivated. Yeah, I would
Okay.
I would say that the Pope. Um,
Probably stirred some shit up with some Christian propaganda to make some shit happen.
Yes, I would
Like,
say that that is probably accurate. What I'm saying is that like we can't just use one example of like religious extremism to like write off every time that religion is involved. We have to say that it's a contributing factor. I think that's a little bit reductive.
sure,
And I think that
sure.
learning more about these different religions and the way that they're different from each other, they interact with each other, and the way that they interact with geopolitics differently is very important to being able to look at each individual situation and kind of parse it out from there. That
No,
way,
sure,
without being reductive.
100%. So this is kind of like the thing that I try to say though. So for instance, like I think if we quote unquote solve the material conditions, right? So let's say that like we were able to snap our fingers, every single human being on the face of the planet was able to get food, shelter, social engagement, high quality education, and they were able to pursue whatever aspirational goals that they wanted to. Okay? Chances are that religion as a motivating factor for violence is going to fucking plummet. Like you're probably going to cut you're probably going to cut like global violence by like 70 to 90% just by solving the material conditions of human beings, right? So basically like that's the part that we should attack realistically. Like we should be focusing on how do we get as many people into a moderate level of income, and a moderate level of like happiness and success and aspiration and opportunity and all that kind of stuff. That should be one of the primary focuses of like the humanist project. Should be all of those goals, right? But what I don't like. Oh, you still there, buddy? Did I lose you? Hello.
You scared me. You BTFO'd me
You okay?
a second and Jesus, wow. No, I'm very frightened. I was afraid you're gonna start yelling like you do
No,
on panels and shit.
no,
I'm so sorry.
no.
I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did you
So
go? Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. So I was just saying that like this is where like I don't really have beef with like progressives or leftists who advocate for like in general improving the lot of the average person on the planet, right? I think this is a project that even if we disagree on like tactics, we should all agree on goal, right? Like this should be the goal of every human being of goodwill, is to improve the living standard of every other human being on the planet, right? But what I take issue with and what I'm kind of frustrated with is that we can have these like really nuanced and deep conversations about like Christian nationalism. We can have like, and I think to a certain extent, you could have like this really interesting and deep conversation about maybe secular Zionism or maybe religious Zionism. And I'm not talking about Zionism as you used it, the bastardized version of Zionism or whatever, by your standards. So you can have this conversation about how religion affects the way people perceive each other, and just by solving material conditions doesn't mean you're going to solve ideological conditions. So, for instance, as an example, the CCP, the Communist Party of China, China is booming in wealth. People are getting better lives. People are seeing, basically getting better opportunities. The economy's taken off. While it's super shitty, chances are in the next 50 to 100 years, they're going to be a very modern and developed country. That being said, you've improved the material conditions. Most people are probably happier with their lot in life, but at the same time, you really don't have like human freedom, the ability to self-express, like a level of autonomy. Like maybe you do, as long as the government permits it, you have that level of freedom. But that makes me deeply uncomfortable, especially when I talk to leftists, where they think that material conditions are the only thing that we should care about, and that like ideology or belief or principles don't matter, and that on top of that we can't even talk about them because we're just being bigoted towards other cultural perspectives through our hostility to some cultural norms that we don't like. There's plenty of shit that I don't like about other cultures. There's plenty of shit that I don't like about my culture. But the thing about it is, like, I'm not going to just criticize my culture. I'm also going to criticize the shit that I don't like in other cultures. It's fucking, I get it. There's a fear of being bigoted or being perceived as bigoted, but I don't give a shit. There's just some things in the world that I don't fucking like and I don't want to make apologies for.
Yeah, and obviously, like when people are using religious justifications to do bad things, that's something that we should call out and condemn.
Sure.
Um, I guess my issue is that I feel like sometimes when you're saying it, I know you're saying that you're not trying to say like religion is the main motivating factor.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels like that when you come across, and I even just messed up by saying like that the Crusades were mainly religious,
But
because like,
why though?
yeah, I got it. I just did a little Google here. Um,
And
Hold
don't
on.
don't say chat's mad, because that's not a reason.
Well, I mean, chat's always mad. I'm not even reading them tonight.
This is why I don't
Let's
have a
see.
chat, you assholes.
Yeah, because basically the reason that the people, the populace, was told that they need to like go to Jerusalem, is so that they can like basically go to the holy sites, see all that stuff. But the Muslims that lived there, they were allowing Christian Europeans to go there and travel and do pilgrimages the whole time anyway, right?
Do
They
you
were
think
going
it
back
was
and forth.
that
Hold
simple?
on, yes, but let me finish, because there was a French Pope that wanted to get reinstated as the actual Pope and promised to return the captured land. It was unreligious, like completely in the way that he was motivated. It was nearly 100% political. He's basically just trying to get clout by calling for a militant army to take back and capture the land of Jerusalem, which was under the Arabic Empire. And they, let's see, hold on. Who are they trying to return it to?
The Byzantines?
Yes.
Yeah, the Christian empire that was there at the time.
Yeah, and then like they were talking about Muslims eating babies and shit in the holy city,
Okay.
but yes, I mean, but yes, the Christian Empire, due to the fact that they were more likely to like
And
make the
and
Pope look
how
good once
how
he
did the
reclaimed his
Muslim
place as like head
Empire?
Pope.
Okay, yeah, how did the Muslim Empire get their territory in the first place?
How did the Muslim Empire get their territory in the
Yeah,
first place?
how
I
did they?
assume the same way that everybody gets territory. They walk in and kill whoever was sitting there first, and they take it. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, and
like
yeah, okay, and here's the thing. Yes, absolutely. So basically, the Byzantine. Okay, so I mean, first off, this is a whole bunch of history, so I'm not trying to bore chat or whatever. But basically, what happened with Constantine was that he basically made the Roman Empire Christian. And there's all this like historical narrative of him basically bulldozing, or maybe not bulldozing, but adding to pagan temples which were at the center of major Roman cities and converting them to churches. So, basically, you could still be a pagan inside the Roman Empire, but you were no longer the religious focus. What ended up happening because the pagan temples were converted to Christian temples is that most people converted to Christianity because churches are basically where you do your networking. You go to service, you talk to people, or you go to service, you listen to the religious stuff, you leave the fucking service, you shake hands, you kiss babies, you talk to people, you network, right? That's like one of the main points of going to church was to network afterwards, okay? So basically, like the entire Roman Empire over a series of a few hundred to a few thousand years is basically the territorial area that was taken by the Romans originally becomes largely Christian. Of course, the pagans sack the West, but then they kind of reconstitute and get converted into Christianity. And now basically you have a territorial area that is approximately the same area as the original Roman Empire. But what ends up happening is there's this little dude named Muhammad, and he's a monotheist, and he starts preaching about monotheism in what are largely pagan cities of Mecca and Medina. And he's chased out of Mecca by he marries into a rich family. He's chased out of Mecca by the rich families of that city because they don't like the fact that he's politically instigating against them and calling them pieces of shit. He runs to Medina. He grows a following. He builds an army. He captures Mecca, and then his basically creates a new religion that's monotheistic. And the religious beef is this: number one, Jews are not universalist. So despite Jews having the correct religion, they are not universalists, and they don't give a shit about all of humanity. So Islam is a universalist religion. Christians are a step away from pagans because they're not quite polytheists, but they believe some fucked up shit. That Jesus Christ, who is a powerful prophet and performed miracles in the name of God and all that kind of stuff, but he wasn't the son of God. That's heathenism. That's close to paganism. It's a misunderstanding of the will of God, and only monotheism is correct. So basically, with that in tow as a worldview, and pagans are pieces of shit, polytheists are pieces of shit, atheists are pieces of shit. This is very clear in the Quranic text. This is very clear in the Hadith. This is very clear, like 100%. Everything I'm saying is just backed up by the Quran. So what that means is that Christians are wrong, Jews are wrong, being Muslim is the right way to be, and basically, we need to take over the world. Now, it doesn't have to be violent. We can trade, we can free slaves, we can be nice, and like all that kind of shit. But basically, if a motherfucker gets in your way, you have an excuse to fucking take over their shit. So saying all of that, the early wars of the caliphate were largely wars of expansion. Like Islam did not get from fucking Morocco to fucking Malaysia through fucking just trade and being super chill. Like some of it was conquest. And basically, like, so to say, like, I don't think it's a stretch to say that Christians basically took issue with the fact that another religion was calling them heathen pieces of shit who didn't understand the will of God, and they were taking their fucking territory and converting people to a new religion. I don't think that's a fucking stretch. And then also, while that can be like geographical, political, logistical, or whatever, I don't know why we would even bother divorcing religion from motivation. Like I don't understand this obsession with like being like, no, people aren't motivated by religion. They're just motivated by everything else except religion. It's like it's this weird stretch that I don't even know why people are doing. End of rant.
Okay. So I can't speak much about like what happened with the Muslims in that area of the world during that time period, just because it's not my area of expertise. It's not what I'm well read on, right? It's just the reason I don't feel like people are trying to push back and say that religion has nothing to do with it, right? Nobody, I feel like, on that panel was trying to make that claim. I'm certainly not trying to make that claim. The issue is that when we simply focus on religion, I know this is unfair because, like, obviously religion was the topic. Religion is the topic tonight, so we're going to focus on religion, right? But when we over focus on religion, we're explaining why we have these problems. It almost seems like we're trying to reduce a very complicated product or concept problem with multiple contributing issues down to just religion, and that's the thing that we need to address. I liked what
Sure.
you said earlier about, like, if we just like address people's material needs, they'll probably stop finding excuses to kill each other. I'd agree with that. I'd say that that's the biggest issue with what's happening in the Middle East right now is these people are just poor as dirt.
Yeah, and like,
Yeah.
and also they have unfair economic systems, but some of these are rooted in religion as well. So for instance, like you can actually look at like the Saudi poverty rate inside. So okay, so I'm just going to describe just some of my backing, and also I do have some Muslim folk in my community that I'm going to be trying to talk to more, because obviously like I have a very exterior perspective, right? This is like somebody who lives in fucking India talking about American culture, right? Like sure, they'll be like, hey, Kanye West is pretty big, Miley Cyrus was big like 10 years ago, there's this new, there's these new rap chicks who talk about their vaginas a lot, but like that's not all of American culture, right? That's like a really surface understanding of just like pop culture, right? So that's what I'm saying, is I have a very surface understanding of the Middle Eastern, North African world. I'm just articulating things that I know so people can challenge me and so we can learn from each other. So one of the things that is brought up is basically like I want to say the poverty rate in Saudi Arabia was between like 10 and 20%. Like unemployment and poverty was just fucking high as shit. And there was a lot of young men. And also there's like incredible wealth disparity in the Saudi kingdom, and there's also kind of still a patriarchal structure of marriage where if you don't have a dowry, if you don't have like individual human wealth and the ability to pay for, basically give a gift in order to get a wife, you're just not getting a fucking wife. So rich dudes are getting fucking wifed up with like fucking, half a dozen to a dozen wives, and poor dudes are basically sitting there with their fucking dick in their hand, not able to do shit. So if you can't fuck, can't have a family, can't find a fucking wife, you got no fucking money, you got no fucking job, do you think at that point you might be like an easy recruit for fucking for like a theocratic, extremist, violent, revolutionary organization? I
mean,
would
at
think
that
so.
point, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't even have to be theocratic, though. It's just like I'd be down for any kind of violent revolutionary behavior.
That got
That
you
tends to be
anything, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So that's where it's like, if you address the material conditions, if people could get married, have kids, have families, pay their bills, keep the air conditioning on, watch some TiVo, although I guess that's not a thing anymore, watch some fucking Netflix or some shit, then yeah, like most people are just gonna be fucking normies. But there are, just as an example, so I would say that for the majority, for a large chunk of Americans and Europeans, at least compared to the world stage, our material conditions are largely solved. That doesn't mean that we don't have problems, but like most people can eat, most people have a house, most people are doing okay, right? At least compared to the rest of the world. So that being said, do we find reasons to be violent to each other? Do we find reasons to fuck each other up? Do we have weird ideological cults that want to start revolutions? Do we have the Boog Boys? Do we have Adam Waffen? Do we have maybe like black what is it, black Israelites and like all that kind of shit? Now they're cults, and they're very small, and their impact on society is comparably small. And the reason why we talk about them at all is because they do some extreme shit that catches the news, and we're like, holy shit, black Israelites shot up a fucking bodega in New York. That's fucking crazy. Adam Waffen was planning to fucking murder, sitting fucking political figures. That's fucking crazy. Boogaloo Boys fucking stormed the Capitol. That's fucking crazy. So we have these like very niche conversations, but that doesn't mean that solving the material conditions has completely eliminated like human violence or ideological struggle. So that's where it's like, I don't care. Like the conversation, like if you and I were to sit down and you were like, hey, do we need to solve the material conditions? I'd be like, yeah. Like what else do
I
you want to
guess
talk about?
I guess question then becomes, because if and I stop me, because I don't think that this is what you're saying, but
Mm,
sometimes I feel like this is what people hear that people are saying when they make this kind of argument, right? They're
mm.
basically saying, let's talk about how, like, so have we established that like Judaism doesn't really lead to Zionism in the political sense? Like, does that make sense to you? Or
It
because
makes
it started off as a secular movement to found the state of Israel, yeah, and then it was the
it.
Christians, and then like, yeah, there's a couple of Jews in Israel who believe it for religious purposes now. But honestly, if they were like reinstating the state of Israel, in order to just like do the religious means, they
Mm,
would have destroyed the dome on the top of the rock and rebuilt the temple on the mount by now. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That's the whole
Well,
point of going back to Israel. They haven't done that, so I'm assuming that the
that
people there
that might
aren't
be
deeply
coming,
religious.
brother. Like I don't know. They just declared they just declared Jerusalem the capital of Israel. So I mean, I don't know. This might be coming. Like, okay, but
Cringe,
no, but okay,
cringe.
but
But
this is what I would say because I don't think I'm fully there, but I understand that it's more nuanced. So what I would say, as I understand, is that like there's multivariant explanations for why people do what they do, and as a matter of fact, specifically in the case of Israel, there might actually be a larger ethnic motivation than a religious one. So, for instance, I'll try to finish my thought. Getting purged getting purged like a motherfucker in Europe might have been like a primary motivating for basically being like, hey, let's get the fuck out of here. Like, let's go someplace else. And that someplace else just happened to be Israel. And then also another interesting thing too that I think probably should be said is that like not everybody in Israel is fucking Orthodox, and most Jews are secular. Like that's actually like another really interesting thing is that like if you look at like Christian theocratic fanaticism or whatever, they typically like believe what they say because of like a scriptural text. But if you look at the population of like Israel, like I don't even know how many people would identify as like very strictly religious. Like I think there's some rabbis who like identify as either like atheist or agnostic because they
yes.
view because they view the text as more either like metaphorical or historical or traditional than they do as a literally true spiritual thing. And I'm sorry you agreed with me, so I wouldn't mind hearing you kind of expound on that.
Yeah, no, I consider myself to be an agnostic Jew.
Mm,
I can't know whether or not there is a God. I like a lot of the laws and concepts that are laid out in the Torah.
mm,
Um, like one of the reasons growing up, we have Shuva, right, in
mm,
Judaism, right. That I was more attracted to that than necessarily Christianity. It's because Christianity, it's like this is how you get your salvation. You just got to believe really hard, and you got to tell other people to believe really hard, and then you're good.
mm,
Whereas with Judaism, it's like you fucked up. You need to
mm,
understand how you fucked up. You need to make how you fucked up correct. These are all the ways that you're going to do that, and then you can move forward as a better person. I
mm.
just feel like there's a much healthier way to like interact with the world. If I wrong somebody, I should probably make that right.
Yeah.
Not just walk around talking about like you should believe Jesus.
But see,
Um,
they had to dumb it down for all the Gentiles, man. They had to make it simple. You just got to believe in Jesus super hard, and all your shit's forgiven. So, like, I mean, you're trying to
hey,
you're trying to convert a bunch of European barbarians. So, like, you gotta dumb it down.
that being said, there is a reason that we make such fantastic lawyers, and it is because like we literally study a book of laws while
Yeah.
you guys are in fucking Sunday school. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. Where we're learning like that literally people walked on water, and literally we fit every single animal inside a giant fucking boat and saved it from saved it from the flood. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wouldn't consider that as like a really strong basis for critical thinking.
no,
But
but
I
just to
sorry, go ahead.
ju- just to be clear though, basically one of the other reasons that it gets really dangerous with the narrative that like the Zionism as it relates to Israel is motivated by Judaism,
Mhm,
is because that it's not helping the propaganda in Muslim countries that are basically telling Israel that because of this false narrative,
mhm.
like they have to murder Jews there, or like this is why Iran behaves so or used to behave so terribly towards the Jewish
There's
people there. They might still be. But that's why for me it's very important that as much as we can we separate these things from each other, because
Yeah,
it
but
also like contributes to anti-Semitism. We get the world banking conspiracy tying into it, and it's just all kinds of bad news
but
there.
see, this is how I would see getting away from that, right? Well, there's two things here. So I actually looked it up, and it looks like 40% or 42% of the state of Israel identifies as secular. So almost a third or a half of the country are not religiously motivated to believe that like they're fulfilling the prophecy or whatever. They're literally just agnostic, agnostic or atheist or whatever, just chill bros trying to vibe in the Israeli desert. So although they've obviously planted a lot of trees since getting there. So the all right, so that's number one. Then number two, I get that, but also like I don't think this problem is going to be solved by ignoring the problem or leaving it unaddressed. And I'm not talking specifically about Zionism. I'm talking about like theocratic zealotry. What I think basically has to happen is that like you have to critique religion, but you have to critique religion from like a position of like love and understanding. So for instance, all I do on my channel is I don't say like Christians are pieces of shit or Christian religious people are pieces of shit or like fucking if they hate gays that they're fucking assholes and like I would punch them in the face. I don't say any of that shit. What I say is like I'm not particularly religious. Here's the things that I believe. Here's the reason why I believe, because I'm hoping that like not necessarily to make anybody doubt their faith, but to make them reconsider how strongly they consider their faith. And that's what I would see. Somebody was joking about this earlier tonight. The fastest way that we could secularize a society is by setting up internet and cell phone structures, and then like instead of dropping bombs, just dropping fucking smartphones all over the fucking ground. Like that's the fastest way that you could modernize and secularize a society, is giving them the internet, giving them Wikipedia, giving them, I hate to say it, but pornography, giving them, giving them freedom to kind of pursue knowledge in whatever way that they see fit. Because what happens when you start learning about the world outside of your like immediate myopic area is you kind of learn that we're human, we're on a planet, it's a dirt ball spinning around a superheated gas ball, and in 60 years we're all going to be dead, and people have been fighting about weird shit for thousands of years. So while those fights are important, they're probably ultimately maybe not as important as we give them credit for. And what's really important is trying to make human life as enjoyable and satisfied and happy and content and purposeful as we can while we have it. That's
Here's
mhm.
here's where I think that you receive pushback, and I'm also curious to like understand what we're getting at here is when you
Sure.
say like we have to address the theocratic extremism. What
Mhm.
do we mean by that? Do we mean that we're going to try and like outlaw religion? Are we going
No,
to try and educate these people? Like what do like because what's the prescriptive thing if religion is the like main contributing cause in some of these situations, in your opinion?
I would say human freedom. Because I think freedom naturally leads to some level of secularization. So what I mean by that is like when you have like a top-down theocracy, like we've seen pro-democratic movements in Iran, just as an example. We've seen pro-democratic movements in China, as an example. I think freedom and freedom of information kind of leads to a more complex and empathetic understanding of just like humanity in general. Like I am not, while I hate the CCP, I am not chomping at the bit to hurt the Chinese, because there's all
What? Sorry, 5 seconds. Hey, chat, can you get rid of the anti-Semite? Thanks, mods. Anyway, go ahead.
so I'm not chomping at the bit in order to basically like hurt like individual Chinese citizens or whatever, and that's because I know that civilians largely are products of their circumstances, products of their environment. We've had horrible wars in the past, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, if not tens of millions of people have been killed in ways that are unimaginable. And basically like we shouldn't be repeating any of these things regardless of the motivation. But just because I think that, and just because you think that, and just because most people think that, doesn't mean that there aren't people like that. Whether it's fucking, self-motivated capitalists or authoritarian communists or, theocratic religious, Muslims or theocratic religious Christians, there are people who think that their role in the world is to seize power and then force society in their image. And I think that what we should be doing culturally is basically like, it doesn't matter if they're authoritarian communist, fascist, Christian theocrat, Islamic theocrat. The mere idea of an authoritarian top-down cultural enforcement that forces people to not live lives that they would actually live otherwise has to be opposed globally. So that's kind of where I'm at.
So you just want a global condemnation of religious extremism?
And
Basically?
authoritarianism in general.
And yeah, I would just say like we could honestly leave it to almost extremism and authoritarianism in general. Like for example, this is something that this is so off topic. So I helped Prime out tonight with this all black everything panel, which by the way, guys, thanks for being here instead of the panel tonight. I appreciate that. anyway, um one of the topics was so the Southern Poverty Law Center recently took away the categorization of Black separatist group as a hate group, right?
Mm.
The reason they did this is because they didn't want to allow other hate groups or even law enforcement, unfortunately, to target these people based on the fact that they're Black. Instead, they have now recategorized them as anti-Semitic, homophobic, uh, like violent extreme. Like they've categorized them by like what do they do that's actually the terrorism, not just calling them Black separatist group. So I would argue that like what we're getting at here, like we should be condemning extremism globally. We should be acknowledging that there are sometimes religious elements to it. And then we should be condemning like authoritarianism globally. Because my issue with the condemnation of like religion, especially specific religions like Judaism, which like, you know, involves like historically oppressed people, is that when we start condemning that, the wrong people show up and start agreeing with us and using our rhetoric for really bad things. And then I end up in a labor camp and I'm not down with
well, and this is, yeah, but this is, see that this is where being cis het white libertarian middle class whatever is very advantageous. I can just fight in any direction. Like, so like I can say, hey, listen, I'm not a fan of Zionism. Hey, listen, I'm not a fan of black separatism. But then like a fucking Nazi shows up in my chat and they're like, yeah, we should go after those Jews running the world. And I can be like, fuck you too. So, like, you gotta, but that's my problem. And maybe this is a privileged position, but that's where it's like, I think often the frustration, I think one of the fuels for the, because I still swim in right-wing circles. I think the fuel for a lot of white grievance and conservative grievance is the fact that they feel like criticism can only go in one direction. I really do. Like you can call them cry bullies, you can call them crybabies. I don't really give a fuck. But the reason why conservatives and fucking racially conscious white folk are so fucking butthurt is because they feel like everybody gets to advocate for their group or they get to defend their group or whatever. Meanwhile, basically Christian conservatives, Christians, or white folk can be endlessly criticized, but they can't turn around and criticize anybody else because they're from historically marginalized groups. So what we were raised on, and by we, I just mean middle-class white people from the 90s, was basically like, not woke, but like 90s liberalism. And to epitomize this best, I can only describe Power Rangers, in which everybody was this like bland, characterless, unprincipled, no plot point character, but everybody was equal. So literally the Yellow Ranger was Asian. The Black Ranger, I think, was black. Either that or he was the Green Ranger. The Red Ranger, like basically like the Pink Ranger was like a blonde girl. And it was this like hyper egalitarian thing, but it was incredibly unnuanced and kind of dumb. So it like reflected no difference in humanity. So what I'm kind of interested in is because like I think CRT, like critical race theory and intersectionality, are actually like incredibly interesting. But the reason why they're interesting is because they help break down the economic, sociological, racial, ethnic, cultural, religious intersections that we all play in that make it, that make our world kind of rich and weird. So for instance, like, I hate to say this, but you're white passing. Are you in America? Are you in the
Oh,
United
if
States?
you're about if you're about to tell me that I'm white, I mean,
No,
yeah.
no, no, no,
Okay.
no, 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 no. But what?
Like, yeah,
But
yeah.
no, no. But what I'm saying is like, so for instance, like a white passing Jew is going to have a different experience than an Ethiopian Jew, right?
We
And then
certainly did in Israel.
right, and then a rich Jew is going to have a different experience than a poor Jew. And but that applies to everybody, right? If you take any of these categories and you apply it to black, white, Hispanic, whatever, the privileges and the faults in our lives, whether they're like ethnic, religious, cultural, majority, minority, whatever, intersectionality and CRT effectively allow us to kind of like study like our social positions in a way that we probably couldn't before. And I think it opens up the opportunity for people to have like really interesting conversations about like where they come from, why they think what they think, and kind of like why they perceive things the way that they do. So I'm probably like the most boring person in America, right? I'm white, I'm straight, I was raised in a middle class household. I have a few other things that are interesting about me, but basically demographically, I'm fairly boring. But what's interesting is talking to a Jewish person, talking to a working class Jewish person, talking to a pro Zionist, talking to an anti Zionist, talking to a black Israelite, talking to a black separatist, talking to a black conservative, and then on and on and on it goes, where like the intersections just shift all over the place, and we can kind of see how rich and weird the world is. And that's really, if it seems like I'm pushing in directions that are uncomfortable, that's part of what I'm really trying to do is I'm just trying to throw elbows for us to be able to have those conversations, because I don't think we've been able to. So all that's happened is you've had like crypto white nationalists and crypto white fascist people just start outlining all the shit that they hate about other groups, and then get called Nazis and fucking beaten out of the Overton window. That's pretty much what like the past like 10 years of fucking politics has been. I would rather start having interesting and nuanced conversations that aren't predatory, but are like rooted in like truth and curiosity, and kind of like just being honest about your anxiety and stupidity and vulnerability. That's the kind of conversation that I'm pursuing, and that's what I'm trying to do on my channel, basically.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm critical of I'm critical of like Jewish people as a community. I'm critical of like Islam in certain situations. I do all these things. One of the issues is like the main point that I think I'm going to have to probably wait until we can DM back and forth about Deuteronomy a little bit about this to get you there, maybe.
Sure.
But the time of like Judaism to Zionism is just really what I kind of really can't click in my head. Would like to get you off of because that's what I feel is
Sure.
dangerous.
No, but see, that's the thing is like I'll either not say that talking point, or I'll say that talking point with a caveat, right? Which will basically be like, hey, I think religion influences the way that people perceive the world, Zionism being one of them. But at the same time, there's even massive contentions about what Zionism even fucking means. And that would be even if I wanted to trot out the point. To be honest, like that panel show was pretty much what I wanted to do from like a rhetorical standpoint. All I wanted to do was because Demon Mama basically like raked me over the coals a few debates previous, and it was because I was basically talking about jihadism, and I was talking about like the religious link between jihadism and the Quran, and then basically it was like anti-Muslim bigot, like Islamophobe, like all that kind of shit, and I'm okay with that. But at the same time, what I wanted to do was I just wanted to demonstrate that we are perfectly capable of like diagnosing and demonstrating our uncomfortability with Christian theocracy and Christian nationalism inside the United States. But the second we leave the United States, it seems like it's like, oh, there's all these complicating factors. And it's like, bro, like you can say that there's complicating factors inside the United States. You think Christian theocrats don't have fucked up households? You don't think that they have like economic fucking backgrounds that are weird? You don't think they feel like dispossessed in their society, or they have a fucking Napoleon complex or some shit? We don't trot out fucking it's complicated whenever when somebody shoots up a fucking synagogue or shoots up a fucking black church. We fucking identify the ideology and we call them pieces of shit for following the ideology. And I just want to see that intellectual consistency applied when somebody follows a bullshit ideology and does something fucked up. So for instance, like Sorry, go
The
ahead.
issue is I don't view it that way. Like
What way?
I don't in most the way that you just described, like viewing like American Christians is like their awful behavior is strictly due to the fact that they're Christian.
Hmm.
I think that they use it to justify it, but like I said earlier, like there are religions like Taoism that not only don't discriminate against other religion, but there's nothing written in any of their text about homosexuality. They were still terrible to homosexuals in their country.
Well, hold up,
There's nothing
because
written
I'm
in
gonna
their
hold
text
your feet
about
to the
race.
fire. I'm
Terrible. Go ahead.
Yeah, so okay, so if Marjorie Taylor Greene is a fucking Christian conservative and she's saying that there's only fucking two genders based off of fucking science or whatever, like seventh grade fucking science, and she thinks that heterosexual marriage should be the only marriage recognized by the state. Do you think that there's any other factor besides religion that's playing into her bias or bigotry?
Yeah, I would say that there likely
What?
is.
What factor is contributing to her homophobia and her transphobia besides religion?
People are just reactionary about that shit. Like I said,
Oh, come on.
countries,
You
there are
you think you
countries,
think she
there
would
are
be a
countries that are,
homophobe? You think she
yes,
would be a homophobe?
there are atheist homophobes, my dude.
Why?
Because they fucking hate gay people, because they're bigots. You can't justify this stuff. They consider it degenerate behavior from a scientific perspective sometime. Like
Okay.
people who want an excuse to hate groups of people are going to find that excuse, be it religious, be it science, be it pseudo fucking science, be it conspiracism.
Okay,
They're
so if
going to get themselves
we
there.
okay, so all right, so hold up. But if you let's fucking invert it, right? Okay, so let's say that she was like a race realist pseudoscience fucking bigot, and she fucking justified it, and she was like, gays shouldn't get married because it's fucking dysgenic for society, and basically like they have like disproportionate sexual transmitted disease rates, and as a result they need to be beaten back into the closet. Would you not fucking say like, hey, the whole reason why you're a fucking asshole is because you have a fucking ideological belief called like fucking, race realism or fucking sex realism or some shit like that. And basically you need to beat the dog shit out of that ideology right in front of their eyeballs.
I would still say that I would probably still make the argument in this situation that yes, she is religious, but the fact that her religion is having a negative reaction to this is just bigotry. It's reactionaryism. It's the fear of new things, right? They don't like the idea that there's these gay people that are now being openly gay. They don't like the fact that there's these trans people now being openly trans. And you just cited disease rates, I think, there in your example, which is a scientific example. So yes, they can use like pseudoscience and shit to still arrive at the same conclusion. They can use the Bible to arrive at the same conclusion. They can use the Torah. They can use the Quran. They can use whatever the fuck they want. People are going to argue for what they want to argue for. Like this idea that religion is like the main cause of like all the
But this
bigotry.
is but this is like a
Or
but
religion
this is a
goes to bigotry.
rhetorical this is kind of like a rhetorical argument, right? Basically what I'm saying, or what I'm trying to say, even if I'm saying it poorly, is that I don't give a fuck about naming the ideology out loud that's giving them some kind of cover or fuel for what they're going to do. Okay. So a jihad, let's use like jihadism as an example. Okay. So fucking, while I was in Iraq in 2007, you can literally fucking Google this shit. Some people walked into they walked into a mental hospital. They took two people who were fucking mentally disabled. They put fucking suicide bombs on them, walked them into a fucking market, and detonated the fucking vests. The whole logic of this is that these people, including the people who were killed who were civilians, and including the bombers themselves, is that if they died and they were true believers, because this is in the Quran, if you die as a true believer, you're going to go to heaven. So it's not a big deal if you fucking die. But if you die killing disbelievers or whatever, they're going to go to fucking hell because you're basically expediting God's justice. This fucking heinous act is rooted in an ideology, and it's called jihadism. So I don't give a fuck if that guy had a bad childhood, or if his dog or his dad was an asshole and fucking gave away his puppy. I don't give a shit if there's fucking, he grew up next to the fucking power plant and that gave him like some kind of like weird, like, brain worms or some shit. I don't give a fuck. It's still fucked up. The ideology that took that person to do that heinous act exists. It's a consistent and logical ideology, and I'm going to name it, I'm going to shame it, I'm going to criticize it. And I don't give a fuck about like the perpetrators of it. I don't give a fuck about considering any of those multivariant factors. We can consider those multivariant factors when we're talking about coming up with a proposed solution. We can talk about that. But like when it comes to just naming and criticizing shitty ideologies, which in and of itself should be something that most people do on the internet when they have free speech, I don't have a fucking problem with that. The same way you probably don't have a problem with, let's say, Demon Mama or some other fucking lefty asshole fucking criticizing Christian theocracy or Christian authoritarianism.
I have a lot of problems with Demon Mama.
All right, maybe a bad example.
I mean,
but okay, but when somebody criticizes Christian theocracy on Twitter, do you fucking quote tweet them and you say, "Hey, listen, you know, Dylan Roof probably had a lot of other motivations besides religion for doing what he did." Maybe a bad example.
I've never seen anybody criticize Christian theocracy on Twitter, but depending on how they went about it, if I got the feeling that they were trying to like paint all Christianity in a negative light as a result of like one isolated incident, yeah, I'd probably say shit, to be honest.
Okay, so what about specifically like homophobia? So for instance, like let's talk about like, you know, Chick-fil-A like donating money to like anti-gay fucking charities or whatever. If you saw a fucking leftist like, you know, tweeting about that or some shit, are you gonna fucking quote tweet that shit and be like, listen, there's multivariant factors for why they might be homophobes, and even if they're using Christianity as a fucking crutch for being fucking homophobes, we should consider these other factors. Would you ever do that?
No, but I'm also not going to draw attention to the fact that the reason that Chick-fil-A claims to donate to homophobic charities is because they're Christian. I would just say that, like, you know, Chick-fil-A fucking donates to homophobic charities, and that's pretty cringe.
You're gonna make
pretty
me do
consistent on this, unfortunately. I'm sorry. Yeah, go for it.
No, it's fine. I'm okay with your consistency, and we just might not agree. But let me see if I can find something real quick.
Okay.
And you can talk to chat or whatever. I'm just literally looking up something up.
Yeah. How we doing, chat? Anybody got questions? He's gonna find the ultimate trump card in BTFO me. So while we're waiting, let's see what we got here. Not everyone else has seen what. All right. Cool.
Okay. So you mean?
But hold on, can we just like while you're looking that up, do you mind if we go back to your example of the suicide bomber here?
Sure.
So would you say that Islam is the reason that they're so dissatisfied in their life that they are actually willing to go out and like blow themselves up? It's just because of the fact that they feel like they're going to heaven. Or would you say that it's probably due to there's other things contributing?
No, I think it would be the other things that are putting them in that position, but then it would be the ideology that's giving them a solution.
Right, and then the ideology is presented to them as a solution. They're manipulated by these terrible people, and these terrible things happen. And I agree that's condemnable, but these are one-off events, and I just feel like
no. We disagree. We fundamentally disagree. Jihadism is not a one-off event. Not even close to a one-off event. Christian homophobia is not a one-off event. That's like wild to say out loud. And like I'm not trying to be unpleasant, but like you can't say jihadist terrorism is a one-off event.
I mean, I just believe that Christianity was most likely used to push homophobia. Because I meet Christians all the time that like aren't homophobic, and we're starting to see them move more and more in that direction.
Sure, but was that a product of Christianity, or is that them deliberately ignoring their text in an increasingly secular society?
It's actually them understanding their text better.
No, get the fuck out of here. Like, I love you, but no.
If you go back to the original translation of what they were talking about in the New Testament when they used the word homosexuals, if you translate that word from the original meaning, they're talking about a young male prostitute, usually between the ages of 12 and 14, who fucks like 40-year-old senators. And guess what? I agree with you, Paul. Pedophilia is pretty fucking cringe. When it was mentioned in the Old Testament, this is when the Jewish people were coming into contact with the Greeks. And guess what the Greeks were doing
by the
back
way,
then?
I already found this.
Too. Yeah.
No, I already found the passages like 5 minutes ago, and it's definitely like, okay, so hold on. So pedophilia, Bible versus homosexuality. Like this is the thing. Okay, so I heard this, and basically this is like maybe something that's come out in the past year. Okay. So all right, so hold on. Let's just read this real quick, and maybe we can learn something together, okay? So Epistle to the Romans 1:26-27. For this reason, idolatry God gave them up to the passions of dishonor. For even their females exchanged the natural use for that which is contrary to nature, and likewise also the males, having left the natural use of the female, were inflamed by their lust for one another, males with males, committing what is shameful and receiving in themselves the recompense which was fitting for their error. Which I almost guarantee you, like, the next passage is going to be like death or some shit. So basically saying that these dudes went gay and then they were punished as a result. Okay, and then we'll check out the punishment. We'll check out the pedophilia argument in a second. Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God? Be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate effeminate people. All right, sorry, femboys, you're not going to heaven. Nor abusers of themselves with mankind. Abusers of themselves with mankind are synokatai, also referred to as sodomites, men who have sex with men. So,
I mean, I wasn't even referring to Sodom and Gomorrah because the argument that I would make for that
this isn't Sodom. This isn't Sodom and Gomorrah. This is Corinthians. This is Paul.
Oh, Paul? Yeah, no. Like, what I'm trying to tell you is that they're talking about like young male prostitutes. Like, hold on, I'll go find the original word.
And yeah, it's arsenokotai. So, ARS. Oh my God, ARSENOKOITAI.
Yeah, sorry. The way you read that, by the way, sounded like fucking Sodom and Gomorrah scripture for some reason. I do not know why.
Probably because I said sodomy, but at the same time, no, I'm not kidding. Like, sodomy comes from Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah, of course. Let me see. Hold on, now I gotta find the translation. Just give me 5 seconds.
Forging a Sacred Weapon, How the Bible Became Anti-Gay. That sounds like a resource that would probably be pro your perspective.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, Chad, if I'm boring the fuck out of you, but I actually like, learning stuff. So sorry about that.
Lucky for you, they do as well, or they wouldn't be here probably, because I am not Destiny. I'm not charismatic guy. I'm not keep you entertained with the drama, dude. I'm let's look at these PDFs and read shit guy. Let's see.
All right, cool. So apparently there's a dispute over arsenokotai, and basically when it translates to German and Norwegian, it's like translated into pedophilia, but when it's translated into English, it gets translated into homosexuality. So, yeah, so I mean, so that's obviously worth exploring. And that's good. I'm not trying to advocate that we should return to the original translation of the Bible so we can be homophobic. All I'm trying to say is that, basically the Bible had, let's say it, some edgy anti-LGBTQ passages, and people use that as a pretext for their beliefs. And that's really all I'm saying is you can name the ideology, you can name the fucking link, and then on top of that, like here's the other thing. This is another good example. So for instance, there's a variety of hadith that are basically like retelling of Muhammad's life that are not necessarily the Quran itself, right? And there's one hadith that I think is supposed to be like very verifiable or something like that. It's supposed to be one of the stronger ones. I think it's Bakr, B-A-K-R. And in Bakr, there's actually like multiple retellings of Muhammad basically talking shit about dogs. Apparently, Muhammad was more of a cat guy, which automatically is like, that's not great in my book. So, but he basically says that you can only keep dogs for guarding your home, and you can only keep them for like maintaining livestock or something like that. And there was like another quote where it's like, if a dog is in a home, then like an angel can't pass through, and dogs are filthy animals, and basically you're not supposed to maintain them. That is a cultural link that is perpetrated into the modern fucking day for hostility to fucking dogs. I literally have a fucking Egyptian first generation American immigrant whose mom wouldn't come into their fucking house because they had gotten a dog, and she said, you need to get rid of that fucking thing. So all I'm saying is ideology, stated proposition, belief in the proposition, action I don't like. So I am willing to criticize action I don't like belief, stated position, and ideology. And I don't care where that comes from. I'll criticize brown person, black person, white person, Jewish person, fucking aliens. If they have bad ideologies with bad outcomes, I'm going to criticize it. And I'm not going to say it's multivariable. Or, yeah, go ahead.
What I guess I'm getting at here is that when the ideology that we're talking about is something as broad as like a religion, I don't feel like it's appropriate to criticize that. It's more appropriate to criticize the misinterpretation of the ideology where you can. And I feel like especially with homosexuality, um, like out of the Bible, that we can very easily point to the fact like, hey, I agree with Paul, pedophilia is cringe, but why the fuck are we talking about, gay people like
Okay,
this?
so what if he had said gay people?
What if he had said gay people? Then
Sure.
we'd be having a different conversation.
Well, no, we wouldn't, because this is the fucking point.
If he had said gay people, then I'd be like, that's really
Do I need to pull
and
do
we
I need
can
to pull
toss
up
that out.
Bakr, or are you a cat person and you hate dogs too, so you actually agree with Muhammad?
Well, no, I'm Jewish, so I hate dogs.
God damn it! Why do
I actually
Jews
love
hate
dogs.
dogs? Why do Jews hate
I
dogs?
actually love dogs. It's fine.
Okay. No, but okay, all right. Fucking memes aside, or
Similar
whatever.
reasons to the way that the Muslims do, basically. Yeah.
What's that?
Similar reasons to the way that the groups that you just mentioned do. Whoa, my lungs just took another dump like they did last night. Crap. Long COVID sucks, by the way.
It's okay. Well, we're hitting 90 minutes, but like, so even if we don't necessarily agree on like, rhetoric or whatever, I at least feel like I understand your point, and I also understand the point that it's like more complex. When it does come to a panel show, if anybody goes and watch that panel show, what I would say in my defense is that I wasn't trying to make it to sound, and I'm sorry if I made it sound this way, that religion is the only factor worthy of consideration. What I'm trying to say is it is a factor of that's worthy of consideration and criticism, and I'm not going to pull punches. So that's pretty much where I'm at. So if you rhetorically disagree or think that's counterproductive, or it's used to just be bigoted against marginalized group, if you see somebody on fucking Twitter or my Discord or I don't know, on a fucking YouTube channel who's like, yeah, this Connor guy's based, Muslims suck, then fucking let me know, and I'll also fucking chew their ass too. And then same thing, or Jews or black people or whatever, I'll punch in every direction that I can because I'm a privileged white cishet male. So,
Okay, but I mean, so just to clarify, the argument isn't all religion bad, right? The argument is sometimes religion can be used to contribute to bad things, but it's a little bit more less reductive than that. All right.
Well, sure. And yeah, just as an example too, I literally just did a drama debate video on my YouTube channel, which you should go to, about Demon Mama and RGR. And basically I was talking about like the Christian notion of turning the other cheek and the Christian notion of forgiveness. So just because I think that there's like like I'm actually probably like more like a Jordan Peterson stan, where like I think that we probably shouldn't take religion literally, but we should kind of like glean out the gold from religion, and we should discard whatever is negative about it. So there's even parts of Islam that I like a lot. So for instance, like monotheistic universalism that doesn't exclude non-Jews, I actually think is fucking based. Like I've talked to a few people about it, and there's actually like this really cool Muslim conception that they think that any monotheist, like even Zoroastrians or whatever, that were like pre-Muhammad and were unaware of the religion of Islam, would they be considered technically Muslims because they're monotheists, even if they've never heard of Muhammad? And that was actually like a popular conception in the Islamic world, is that even if you don't know who Muhammad is, or specifically the religion of Islam, but you're a monotheist, you're actually technically Muslim. I think that's a great idea. So no, there's parts of religions I like and parts of religions I don't like, and I'm willing to suss that out, basically. So I'm not a 15-year-old fedora.
Yeah. Again, I know nothing about Islam. I'll be honest with you. The
Mhm.
PhD like theological person that has a degree that I can't like fucking remember in my chat is ringing pretty hard about that explanation. I'll get you in contact with them if you'd like. I think that we could probably have a very interesting conversation.
Let's do
They've
it.
certainly helped me out a lot.
Cool.
But yeah, I don't know. As long as we can maybe continue talking offline about this kind of thing, I'll send you a few links. We can
Sure.
I feel like we're both saying the same thing here, that like we don't want to say all religion bad. We can acknowledge that, sometimes it's used as a contributing factor. I guess I'm more on the side of like powerful people
Mhm.
and bad actors use it for notorious purposes, but that doesn't necessarily make it inherently bad.
Sure.
Um, Whereas, yeah, I would say that I guess it feels like sometimes you're trying to attribute it as like religion is actually the sole bad force. It's not something that somebody else is taking out of context and manipulating the bad actors with. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I think that's a fair assessment, and if it sounds like I'm trying to do that, I'm not. So but
Right.
yeah, so I do have a wife. Luckily, my kid's asleep, but I do have a wife that I probably need to attend to. So you mind if I shout myself out before I dip?
No, and if you want to send me your YouTube channel, I'll happily put it in the chat for everybody too.
Okay, sweet. Um, yeah, well, actually, I gotta. I don't want to like exit and then like dox myself with like personal information on my computer, so I'll just shout it out. And if you're too lazy to open up a new tab and type words into tabs, then that's your fault, not mine. So, if you want to find me on Twitter, especially the PhD guy who wants to yell at me, you can find me on Twitter at Counterpoints, Conorpoints, Conorpoints. If you want to find me on YouTube, you can just go into YouTube, type in Counterpoints, common spelling, one word. You can scroll past like 2 or 3 Contra videos, and then that I'll be there. So like you'll see my shit. If you're specifically interested in maybe my more nuanced or charitable religious takes, I would check out my specific video Islamophobe. I actually like outline very specifically my entire history, personal history with like jihadism and my own uncomfortability and my own experiences with like Muslim people in my life. And then also you'll find other shit on there too. So I'm a center right chud, got some chuddy takes, but I try to talk to smart people and not be a dick about it. So
All right, and I greatly appreciate you making an exception and coming by to talk to me instead of the smart people. Um, Yeah, it was fun, man. Everybody, Connor's awesome. If this does become a VOD, I'm over on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Specter of TTV. Um, I do this kind of thing, like maybe once or twice a month. Sometimes I do a gaming stream when I'm bored. Usually I'm helping other streamers organize panels and shit. But yeah, this was a lot of fun, man. I appreciate you taking the time and enjoy your evening, dude.
all right, have a good one, brother. See you.